In a snowbound Montana wilderness, every winter night, a bear's roar shattered the silence. The rangers of Elk Ridge were mystified. Old Grizz, a massive grizzly with a scarred muzzle, lumbered to a lone cabin, roaring with haunting urgency, his cries echoing through the frozen pines. 4 years ago, Ranger Laura, a fearless naturalist, vanished during a blizzard patrol, leaving her team broken. Now, Old Grizz's roars grew fiercer, his amber eyes fixed on the cabin, as if it held a secret. Ranger Tom, who cherished Laura's memory, felt hope and unease. Was Old Grizz sensing her presence, or haunted by a ghost? His roars wove longing and mystery, rumbling through the frost. What drove Old Grizz's nightly cries? The truth would dawn like a sunrise, lifting Elk Ridge's soul. The mystery began one bitter December night, as snow buried Elk Ridge's trails. Ranger Tom, a grizzled park warden, was stoking his cabin's fire when Old Grizz's roar shook the walls. The grizzly, his scarred muzzle silvered by moonlight, stood just beyond the porch, roaring with a raw power that sent chills through Tom's bones. He gripped his lantern, calling out, but Old Grizz's amber eyes stayed locked on the cabin, paws churning snow, as if drawn by an unseen force. Old Grizz had been Laura's shadow, trailing her on patrols 4 years ago. Laura, a naturalist with a quick laugh, was Elk Ridge's spirit, tracking bears with Old Grizz lumbering nearby. But during a blizzard patrol, she vanished. No trace, no gear, only a shattered team. Old Grizz's roars became his lament, a winter ritual that haunted the ridge. Every night, Old Grizz trekked from the forest to the cabin, roaring until dawn, his cries carrying over the icy peaks. Ellie, a young ranger and Laura's protege, followed his tracks, her boots crunching, worried he'd draw poachers. Her brother, Sam, a teenage volunteer, swore Old Grizz sensed Laura's spirit in the cabin. Tom asked locals. No strange scents or sound came from the area. The ranger station buzzed with theories. Maybe Old Grizz smelled Laura's old journal, stored inside. Ellie tried placing on the porch. Old Grizz ignored it, his roars deepening. Tom's chest tightened. Old Grizz was Elk Ridge's legend, their link to Laura's fire. Was he calling to her, or unraveling in grief? The team's love for Old Grizz was fierce, but so was their pain. Tom checked the cabin. Maps, tools, nothing odd. Yet Old Grizz's roars grew wilder, rattling windows, fraying nerves. Ellie filmed his nightly visits, posting them online with captions like, "He's searching for Laura." Sam nailed Laura's photo to a tree, hoping it would calm Old Grizz. It didn't. At the station, Old Hank, a retired ranger, mentioned a strange hiker seen near Laura's route years ago, never traced. Tom's pulse quickened. Could it be a clue? The whisper of that hiker spread, a faint spark in Elk Ridge's frost. But Old Grizz's roars remained unanswered, his eyes boring into the cabin, a bear driven by an unseen force. The mystery gripped the ridge, their devotion to Old Grizz tangled with loss. Was he chasing a miracle or a memory that would never return? Elk Ridge couldn't bear Old Grizz's torment. Tom set up a trail camera near the cabin, hoping to catch what drew him. The footage showed Old Grizz circling, roaring at the cabin's walls, sometimes pawing the snow, then slumping, weary, as dawn broke. Ellie scoured the clearing, her flashlight sweeping, finding only pine cones and frozen dirt. The team took Old Grizz's behavior to Dr. Vance, a wildlife expert who studied his tracks. "He's healthy," Dr. Vance said, adjusting his glasses. "Maybe territorial." Tom shook his head, his voice firm. "He's not claiming ground, document. He's searching." Old Grizz's roars continued. Every winter night, a relentless cry that stirred the ridge and rattled the team's resolve. They tried everything. Ellie stayed out with Sam, watching Old Grizz from a safe distance, whispering to calm him. He still roared. Tom chained the cabin door. Old Grizz pressed against it, shaking the frame. The station's cook, Maggie, suggested playing Laura's old radio calls, her voice crackling over patrols. Ellie found a recording in the archives, playing it through a speaker. Old Grizz's ears twitched, his head tilting, but his roars grew louder, a howl of longing. Clara, a retired tracker, stopped by one snowy evening. "Bears remember," she said, sipping cocoa. "Maybe Laura's closer than we think." Tom scoffed, his hands rough from chopping wood, but Ellie clung to Clara's words, desperate for hope. The team's nerves frayed. Some rangers worried Old Grizz's roars would scare hikers, suggesting relocation. Ellie's eyes welled at the station, her voice breaking. "Old Grizz is Laura's heart," she said, gripping Sam's arm. "We can't give up." Sam shared a tale from school. A bear in Alaska led rangers to a lost camper, like a guide. "What if Old Grizz is like that?" he asked, his eyes bright. Tom's heart flickered. Could it be true? They checked missing persons files. Laura's case was cold, a forgotten report. Ellie's videos of Old Grizz went viral, sparking comments like, "This bear knows something." But leads, calls, emails were dead ends, cruel hoaxes, or honest mistakes. One night, a trapper at the station, passing through, mentioned a woman resembling Laura seen at a remote outpost years ago, carrying a ranger's pack. Tom's breath caught, but the trapper had no details, just a vague recollection. The story spread, reigniting Elk Ridge's hope. The local paper ran Old Grizz's tale with a photo of him by the cabin, captioned, "Elk Ridge's faithful guardian." They posted Grizz Watch signs along trails, begging for tips. But weeks passed, and the signs buried in snow. Tom sat with Ellie by the cabin one night, the frost biting, watching Old Grizz roar, his cries ablaze through the silence. Sam crept out, whispering, "What if Laura's inside?" Tom shivered. Impossible. Yet Old Grizz's eyes burned with certainty. The mystery was crushing Elk Ridge, their love for Old Grizz battling despair. Was his faith a sign, or a fading echo of a ranger lost forever? One stormy winter night, the truth erupted. Old Grizz's roar became a thunderous, soul-shaking bellow, rattling the cabin. He pawed at the porch, his cries piercing the blizzard like a beacon. Tom, jolted awake, stumbled to the door, his heart pounding. Old Grizz was a shadowed giant, formatted with snow, eyes wild, as if the cabin held a secret he could no longer bear. Ellie and Sam rushed in, coats thrown over pajamas, their faces pale. "He's gone mad," Tom shouted, grabbing a flashlight. Ellie's hand shook as she unchained the door, Old Grizz's bellows drowning her thoughts. The door swung open, revealing the cabin's dim interior. Old Grizz lunged forward, but Tom blocked him, his breath hitching. A faint sound, a soft, human cough, drifted from a trapdoor under the rug. Elk Ridge froze, the storm heavier than the pines. Tom's flashlight swept the trapdoor, revealing a hidden cellar. Ellie pried it open, and there, curled in a sleeping bag, was Laura, gaunt, shivering, with sun-bleached hair and weary green eyes. Old Grizz pushed past, roaring softly, nuzzling her face. Laura, frail but alive, sobbed, clutching Old Grizz, whispering, "You found me, old friend." Ellie screamed, a raw cry of joy, and threw herself into Laura's arms. Sam followed, tears streaming, his hands gripping her sleeve. Tom sank to his knees, tears blurring his vision. Laura, alive after 4 years, hidden beneath their cabin. But Laura's hands trembled, her eyes shadowed with trauma, clutching a whistle with Old Grizz's claw marks. "How'd you gotten there? Why now?" Old Grizz's roar softened, but he stayed, glued to Laura, eyes glowing. A journal in the cellar chronicled her survival, hinting at her ordeal. The storm howled outside, the cabin air thick with questions. Was Laura safe? Had Old Grizz known she was there all along? The reunion was a miracle, but secrets lingered. Elk Ridge held its breath, souls alight, as the truth teetered on the edge. Laura's story lifted Elk Ridge's soul. She'd been trapped in a cave during the blizzard, surviving on cash supplies, then lived off-grid, evading poachers who'd stalked her patrol. Old Grizz's whistle, tied to her pack, kept her tethered to hope. She'd slipped into the cabin cellar during a storm, too broken to face the world. Old Grizz's roars, sensing her scent through the floor, urged her to emerge. The team wept, not from sorrow but awe. Old Grizz wasn't just a bear. He was a guardian, proving connection endures through hardship. Tom hugged Old Grizz's massive neck, tears falling. "You saved her," he whispered. Laura, scarred but smiling, stroked Old Grizz, her green eyes brightening. The rangers and locals gathered outside, hands brushing Laura, marveling at Old Grizz. The cabin, once a place of mystery, became a symbol of hope. Ellie and Sam clung to Laura, their mentor restored. Townsfolk brought hot stew, blankets, vowing to help Laura heal. Old Grizz still roamed near the cabin some nights, but his roars were soft, content. Elk Ridge would never forget his lesson. Connection, even in the wild, can guide us home. Old Grizz's story is unreal, isn't it? His bond brought Laura home and lifted our souls. Subscribe for more heartwarming animal stories that'll inspire you. Hit the bell so you don't miss our next video about a cat's incredible trek. Comment below, has an animal ever amazed you like Old Grizz? Share your story with our Elk Ridge community. Dive into our playlist for more touching tales and join us to celebrate the magic of nature. Let's keep these stories alive together.